I'm Robin Griggs-Lawrence, Editor-in-Chief of Natural Home Magazine, and for the next 6 months or so, we're going to be chronicling the building of this fabulous green home in Boulder, Colorado. Right now, they're taking down the existing home in an existing neighborhood to the studs, recycling almost 96% of the materials from the original house, and then they're going to be building a LEED certified, solar-powered, geothermal heated and cooled greenhouse. We're going to come back and visit every couple of weeks, take a look at what they're doing. So let's go see what's going on with the deconstruction.
This house is built on a very tight lot. It's up against the foothills of Boulder, so the site is quite spectacular. The timeline is also kind of spectacular. We're doing this house from the time they engaged us to the time that the family will move in is about a year. There's not too much left of the existing house. We've been in deconstruction for about 2 weeks. The house was also filled with asbestos when we started. That was the first thing that we removed, and now we're taking the house apart stud by stud. It's for a family of 4, and we started with the premise of designing a model green home. This will hopefully be one of the first LEED Gold pilot residential projects in the state of Colorado. The project is about 6,300 square feet, and we began by actually taking down an existing 6,300 square foot house in an existing neighborhood. We wanted this house to be green in every aspect that we could think of, starting from the foundations or even deconstructing the house. So rather than demolition, we suggested deconstruction as the way to go, and we're able to divert an enormous amount of materials from the landfill. About 1/3 of the house is going to be underground, so it minimizes the overall impact of the house. The house is in an existing neighborhood, so we're trying to be very sensitive to the neighbors' views. We also have major views of the mountains out this way. One of the major reasons that we decided to take the house down, it was about 40 years old and was not all that well constructed, so the house was near the end of its useful life, but it was mostly a design perspective that caused us to look at taking the house down. The house was actually built on 6 floors. It was totally chopped up, and even though it's got these great panoramic views, you couldn't see the mountains from anywhere in the house. It had virtually no windows, especially none on the south side, so it took no advantage of the passive solar aspects of the site. And here in Colorado we have tremendous sun. For mechanical systems, we'll be using a geothermal system for heating and cooling, and an active large photovoltaic array on the roof, so we'll be capturing all the sun to the south. Starting with a super well insulated envelope, we'll be using an Icynene insulation with an optimal value engineered frame building. What that means is we'll be using engineered lumber for all the perimeter, using the minimum number of studs that we can. There'll be large windows around a large portion of the house. It's a modern style house, so we'll have large areas of glass, so we're using some very high performance glass throughout the house. Geothermal will be tied to a radiant floor heating system, and we'll be using bamboo on all the floors throughout the house. We'll also be using zero VOC. It's going to be a healthy house, non-toxic throughout. The residents have some health concerns, so we wanted to eliminate every source of toxins we could, whether that means using phenylformaldehyde instead of urea formaldehyde in the plywood throughout the interior of the house. We're using a non-toxic a low VOC construction adhesive throughout the house made by Titebond. The paint will all be zero VOC paint as well. The lighting package throughout the house will be an LED lighting. This is new in the United States, and it decreases the electrical load very significantly, possibly between 70 to 90% for the lighting. It also decreases the heating load that the light bulbs create throughout the house. The cooling will be a combination of the geothermal mixed with a combination of evaporative coolers. Here in Colorado, evaporative cooling works exceedingly well. Essentially, you're passing water over a screen and allowing the natural flow of air to simply chill the air, and then we dump that down through the center of the house. The house will also be a passive solar house, meaning that we're providing proper shading for all the windows of the house and orienting as much of the glazing to the south as possible. Here you can get a pretty good idea of what's left of the house. We've taken off the top story already and removed the roof, removed most of the flooring and all the sheathing of the house, the windows, and now we're down to the studs, and then we'll start ripping out the foundations. The concrete will be recycled on this job and turned into road base.
To follow the construction of this house, check out Robin's blog From the Front Porch at naturalhomemagazine.com.